Labor, land, and lumber. If you're a home builder, those are the three things that are probably occupying most of your thinking right now. So why should you care about design? Well, you should care about design because your buyers are going to care about design. We've just experienced a great period of expansion in the home building industry where there's been an exodus from major metropolitan areas, and this ripple effect is going out into the suburbs, right? Out into the first tier cities, the second tier cities, and then out into the suburbs, the exurbs, and resort communities throughout the country. The Mountain West right now is completely going off. So if you're a home builder and you're focused on these three things, land, lumber, and labor, why would you care about what's next? Because you're a leader. If you're in the home building industry, you're in the home building industry not just to make money. The purpose of a business is to stay in business, and we all have to make money. But there's a higher purpose to what you do, right? So the people that I want to talk to today are the ones that understand this higher purpose that they have to fit what their offerings are to the market that's out there. And this creates a purpose for what you do, and it has implications to how you do it. That's what design is all about. So the first wave, that exodus from the major metropolitan areas, that was fear-based. That was a result of people freaked out, not knowing what's happening, believing that their life is never going to be the same, and they just needed to get out. So the choices that they made were based on that irrational fear that they had. And you can see the numbers that represent the suburban areas right now in America, and those shortages reflect the fact that there's a pent-up demand for housing. However, there's going to be a second wave of buyers coming from these major metropolitan areas or from these first and second tier cities that want to move up and move out a little bit. They will be more discriminating. They will be more discerning. Aside from the huge benefit of getting to be a marriage counselor, what would make us want to do custom homes? Well, for us, they're like that concept car. We develop things in custom homes that we can't do in the production home environment. But what it allows us to do is allows us to extrapolate the significant trends that we're seeing by people that can really afford the kinds of things that go into a full-on custom home. So dedicated spaces like media rooms and spas, what it's done in the home building industry, starting in the custom home part of the industry and then moving into production, move up, second move up, and luxury, and even in first-time buyer homes. Just because a first-time buyer doesn't have a lot of money doesn't mean they don't have a lot of taste. Target figured that out a couple of decades ago, and they've been benefiting from that for years upon years. So the take home for the home building industry is what things can we take out of these inclinations that people have, these desires that people have of having dedicated spaces. Well, regardless of the price point for the home, there needs to be this element that's included. That's what we're really learning. And regardless of the price point on the home, easier to do at the high end than it is the lower end, but people are no longer in that place of refuge in their home, which was the first part of the pandemic. This second wave, what they really want to be represented in their homes is they want it to be a resort. They want it to be a spa. They want it to have the kinds of parts and pieces that they can integrate that will make them feel like that's the experience that they're having, both inside the home, in the intermediary spaces from inside to out, and in the outdoor spaces. So regardless of the scale of the home, right? And we're even seeing some of these things in apartments, because if you had a B-level apartment before, well, now you're able to move up to an A-level apartment, right? Or while your home is being built, you're living in this apartment, right? This new apartment community that's being built. So the elements that we're seeing in custom home market and in the production home market are also being applied to apartments. What does this really say? What it says is that the buyers are not wanting to compromise anymore. So last year we designed over 20 custom homes. Why is that important? Because custom homes are the concept car of the home building industry. The things that we learned through that time in terms of what buyers want, what they expect, those are the kinds of things that are trickling down now into homes that we're going to be designing for this next wave of new buyers. And so the things that we need to keep in mind are things that we focused on the last few years. What the pandemic has done is it's taken 10 years of cultural development and it's compressed it down into a year or two. So we're into that second year of the pandemic right now. And these things that are being squeezed into this time frame, those are the things that we want to address. Things like healthy homes, biophilia, and healthy kinds of environments, kitchens that aren't just utilitarian, but they are intended to be something that you live in, almost like a chef that's there all day, because many people, and this represents about a third of office workers throughout America, will not be going back to the office, right? Now, that sounds like not such a big number. When you consider that the home building industry, a really good year for us, is 1 million new homes. So of that group that is sequestered in their home, either by choice or because their employer says, we're not bringing you back. There's just no advantage to paying a high rent in an area that we didn't really like to begin with, that we thought our employees really wanted to be part of, but we realized that their values have changed. So this changing value system that the buyers have right now, that employers have, that's culturally impacting our industry. So you can see that 1 million new homes and the people that will be buying them, even if it's 1/3 of those homes, do you think you should probably take another look at offering something different in terms of design? What buyers have done the last year is they have researched the things that they want. The people that have not made a decision up to this point, and with interest rates going up a little bit, the nature of the discretionary buyer is going to become more significant. So just doing things that represent basic shelter is not going to be enough. Just because it's new, just because you have a park, that's not going to be enough. The things that we're seeing as being tremendously significant are, going back to the things that we used to do a few years ago, but sort of these flexible designated spaces. It can be a dining room, but it can also be your home office. My favorite image of this is that Thomas Jefferson, his dining room at his residence, he designed it so that it was actually a library. So this is an idea that's been around for a while. So think in terms of how flexible these spaces can be. And please work with someone that is sensitive enough to know the proclivities, the inclinations, the desires of these new buyers. Because with limited labor, lumber, and land, the things that we put in our new communities that use these three things, we've got to do a job that is consistent with what the home buyers expect. If we do this, we can continue to enjoy a period of expanded prosperity, of course, figuring out the land, labor, and lumber part of the equation. But my encouragement is look beyond that. We're always going to have those kinds of problems. But as leaders, if we just look to the immediate problems here, we won't see the bigger purpose for why we're in business and what people look to us for in terms of leadership for home building for the future. If we do these things, we can create new kinds of environments that will represent the pinnacle of what this pandemic has done for us. We can either be freaked out because of the things that we had to do through the pandemic, or we can say, I'm going to make a little bit of a shift. We're going to move towards these other things. We're going to move towards more of a purpose platform. And as a result, those homes will represent the high watermark for what this industry is capable of as we move ahead. See, what's happened in America from a cultural standpoint is that the pandemic has been a huge pause button. What it's allowed everyone to do is to stop and reevaluate where they spent their time, where they spent their money, where they used their gifts and talents, right, in their discretionary time. And many people have decided that some of those values that they had were a little bit misaligned with what the essence of life is. That's why you're seeing this huge boom in the recreational kinds of markets and communities, right? Travel trailers, camping. I have friends that were having to fight for a camping space, getting there on a Thursday and being in a state park and needing to really be purposeful about when they wanted to be there and how they wanted to be there because there was no campsites available. This sort of reinterpreting what's important to Americans is being reflected in what our buyers are looking for. So the smart builders moving ahead will recognize these things and embrace them in such a way where it becomes part of the bones of the home. That means design. It doesn't just mean surface application. It doesn't just mean the color of the year. It means thoughtfully considering the things that need to go into that spa-like bathroom. And even if that spa-like bathroom has 5 fixtures and it's only 120 square feet or 80 square feet, it's got to be 80 square feet of extremely well-designed space. That's what's important to buyers. That's what's going to continue to help you be successful. That's what's going to allow you to get what we all want in our businesses, which is to have unpaid spokespeople saying things about how thoughtful and considerate their builder was because they included these things. That's the promise, and the payoff is that you will do better when things begin to soften a little bit, when the mortgage rates tick up a little bit. Those are the sorts of things that motivate and inspire people to do something that is on the edge of where they want to be, but they know they need to be there and they want to be there. That's meeting people at their place of desire. That's what we can do. That's what we can be as an industry.